What's up, fight fans? This is Kurt Taville with Counterpunch Boxing News, and I have some new news concerning Deontay Wilder versus Luis Ortiz. This is the official fight study and fight prediction, okay? Now, as I promised you guys, I will give you guys a breakdown on this rematch. And there is the comparison between Deontay Wilder. We have the tell of the tape. We have the Deontay LaShawn Wilder, which he was born October 22nd, 1985. He is 34 years of age. He is 6'7" in height, 83-inch reach, 41 wins, no losses, 1 draw with 40 wins by KO. Okay. Then on the other side of the coin, we have Luis King Kong Ortiz. He was born in Camagüey, Cuba. His birthday is March 29th, 1979. He is 6'4" in height, 78-inch reach, and he is a southpaw. His record is 31 wins, 1 loss, 2 draws, and 26 wins by KO. Now, of course, we know who's the most skilled is Ortiz because he comes from the Cuban school. He showed his skills in the first fight. He showed his counterpunching ability in the first fight. He showed that he has good timing speed. That's one thing that Deontay Wilder has to watch and has to be careful of, which I'm definitely sure that he is. Okay, he mentioned it in the face-off or the face-to-face on PBC. And he mentioned that Ortiz will give you always a counter if there is a counter, you know. He will give you one even if you don't. Everything you throw him, he's a true counterpuncher. He waits for you to attack, and then he attacks off your attacks. That's what a counterpuncher is, okay? Speed, I believe, definitely goes to Wilder. Wilder has the speed in the speed category. However, technique goes to Ortiz. However, the awkwardness of Wilder, his speed and his power makes him more dangerous, most dangerous, okay? Now, when summing up these two fighters for jab to jab, Ortiz has a timing speed, but Deontay's faster. It's almost like Juan Manuel Marquez and Manny Pacquiao. Manny Pacquiao was faster, but Marquez was a timing counterpuncher, okay? Not saying that I don't think Ortiz is better than Marquez, because Marquez, I think, was a better counterpuncher. The only difference is Marquez he started to get in trouble when he wanted to exchange. That was his problem. Ortiz doesn't really do that as much. He will exchange though, okay? But he didn't really get in trouble with exchanges. He got in trouble more from reflex time. And I think that was due to either him being fatigued in that fight, especially in the 10th round and the 5th round, okay? Because at the very end of that round, he got caught and clipped with a right hand that he didn't anticipate Deontay Wilder being fast enough to hit him with. So Ortiz is going to have to understand that he's dealing with a younger fighter, 6 years his junior, and understand that the guy, Deontay Wilder, isn't a guy that you should take lightly. He isn't a guy that you should underestimate because he might seem, his hands might be all the way down here, but understand he can still throw that right hand, you know, and he can do it quickly. Okay, so Ortiz has to acknowledge that. So keys to victory, he has to avoid the right hand, work his own right jab, you know, and then hook the right hook off of his jab, okay? Or at least set up the left hand. Because, of course, this is an orthodox fighter taking on a southpaw, you know, and so their straight rights and straight lefts will be a very big asset in this fight. Now, Ortiz, I'm looking at Ortiz now. Ortiz looks tired. He looked tired in that interview yesterday. You know, and I got a couple videos to drop about him today, you know, and what he regarded and what he said, you know, after that, you know, about the first fight. Anyway, this fight here, it could be good for Ortiz or it could be bad because Deontay Wilder now, I think Deontay is becoming spoiled, honestly. I think from the Dominic Brazil fight, I think he's going to get too accustomed to fighting and hitting people early and knocking them out early. You know, look what he did to Stavern. Yeah, he had 10 rounds with Ortiz, 12 rounds with Fury. But I think this year he's going to try to make a statement. He's going to try to duplicate what he did with Dominic Brazil. So Ortiz needs to be ready with the counterpunch that he needs, and he first of all has to defend himself against the right hand. Now the question is now, what does Ortiz still have left? Let's face it. He didn't look good in the Christian Hammer fight. He really didn't look good in the Travis Kaufman fight. Yes, he put Travis Kaufman down, but Travis Kaufman was a guy that was pretty much all talk and 50% heart. Okay, he was not really in good shape, but Ortiz was just better skilled than he was. But Christian Hammer was a journeyman, and couldn't get him out of there, and that was a tough fight for Ortiz. That could have actually possibly been an upset on the way that Ortiz was moving, because he got clipped with punches that he knew he didn't supposed to get hit with. Okay, he looked slow, and he looked like he looked more like Tyson Fury did in his last fight. He looked like he was overtrained. Now the question is if that's just an effect of him being overtrained, or is it just showing his true age? Okay, we've known the rumors that Ortiz is older or whatever the case is. If he's 40, he says he's 40, fine. But then again, you have to understand and put into play that Ortiz comes from the Cuban school, so he's been fighting thousands of amateur fights for free. Okay, so a lot of Cuban fighters are already worn, torn by the time they get over here in the professional rankings. Now, based on Ortiz's last performance, let's hope that let's hope he just underestimated Christian Hammer. Because if he didn't, and he comes in there the same way, he's going to get knocked out quick. Because Deontay Wilder, look, the fight didn't last around last fight. So he's pretty much, sitting around waiting to knock someone else out. And then, and a guy that fixates on knocking people out, that's his end game, knocking you out. Ortiz has to minimize that danger, and that possibility of him landing that right hand. Now, let's get into something that is my opinion. And a lot of people share this opinion. Now, I'm going to share it with you guys. This fight is smoke and mirrors. Let's face it. This is, I'm going for Ortiz. I like Ortiz. But this fight here, I feel is smoke and mirrors. I feel the only reason Deontay Wilder picked Ortiz again was to give a false sense of, hey, I'm going back into the fire where I don't need to be. But like I just explained to you guys, Luis Ortiz did look good in his first fight. Now, had he looked great in his first fight, I don't think that would have been the fight they would have been looking for. They would have been probably looking for Adam Kalnaki, because remember, this is a voluntary. He could have picked anyone to fight. He didn't have to pick Luis Ortiz. Now, you can talk about the goodness of what it is, the $7 million. That's great. That's a blessing for Ortiz. But then again, how dangerous is this fight really? People are trying to hype this fight up. People are trying to hope and wish and beg, that Ortiz wins. But the reality of it is we can see what we have. And what we have is a fighter that didn't look great in his last fight. His last performance was piss poor. We know that. He looked like an older fighting guy that should retire. That's what he looked like. I'm just calling it how it is. Then again, people know this channel, that follow this channel. I am an Ortiz fan. But he didn't look too well, and we know that's why, based off the strength of his last performance, that's why Team Wilder and Al Heyman decided to pick this fighter, because this is the safest fighter. He's already beat this fighter a year, damn near 2 years ago, okay? So now he's looking slower, so it'll be even that much easier now, won't it? Let's just be real. Me counterpunching this. And there's no way, if he had help against Ortiz would have to knock Deontay Wilder out cold to win this fight. There, I said it. That would have to happen, and shit. They'll probably, even if he was knocked out, they'll probably count slow. Okay? So let's stop with all the, if he is, and Leonard Ellerby's trying to, rev this fight all up. Look, this fight here will not go the distance. Ortiz said it won't go the distance, but this is one thing about this. Ortiz is going to go for the knockout. So that means he'll either punch himself out quicker. If he hurts Deontay Wilder this time, he won't get any help from the referees. They are not for him. They were never for him in any fight. It's too much on the line. Do you think that he's already signed a fight with Fury, right? And a possible fight with Ruiz in if Ruiz beats Joshua. So that's two possible fights. One for undisputed world championship, and the other one to fight a rematch between a guy that you didn't beat. So you think they're going to let this particular fight get in the way, honestly, legitimately get in the way of Deontay Wilder? Deontay Wilder has way more popularity than Luis Ortiz with the WBC and Al Heyman. He's way more valuable. So you think the same shit that happened in March of last year won't happen now? If that fight gets a little tricky, gets a little dangerous, strange things will happen, people. In fact, stranger things will happen. Okay? Mark my words, stranger things will happen in this fight if Luis Ortiz starts getting into Deontay Wilder's ass, which is something that doesn't supposed to happen. This fight's supposed to be orchestrated to exhibit that Deontay Wilder is either getting better, bigger, badder, and tougher, right? And it's supposed to amplify his career. See, the same guy that he had problems with last year, he knocked him out easily. Yeah, look at Bermain Stavern. He's the only guy that went 12 rounds. He got knocked out in 1 round. Yeah, but look at all these guys and what do they have in common? Bermain Stavern and Luis Ortiz. What do they have in common? They're old. They're past their prime. They are in either their late 40s or in their 40s. Bermain Stavern was already 40 or 41 years of age by the time he stepped in the ring the second time. He was a replacement, to say the least, for Luis Ortiz. Okay? And Luis Ortiz, he should have fought Luis Ortiz years ago, so I don't really, you could say, oh, well, he gets credit for that. Sure. But he could have fought him 3 years ago. He could have fought Klitschko 3 years ago. But let's not go there. We're talking about now, right? Okay. If Ortiz knocks out Deontay Wilder, that would be something that they would never, Al Heyman, Leonard Ellerby, anyone from the PBC, nobody would predict. Sure, in hindsight, everything is 2020, but no. This fight was not designed for Ortiz to win, period. Okay? So my prediction is, yes, I love Ortiz. I love his skill set, but he's an old fighter. I hope he wins. I'm going for him. But Deontay Wilder will knock out Ortiz 5 rounds or less. That's my prediction. That's my fight study. You guys tell me what you think. Of course, please subscribe. And you guys been Counterpunch. Peace.